One out-of-network hospital bill on a road trip can cost more than the RV parked outside it, and nobody brings it up before you sign. I've watched first-time RVers over 60 lose more money to paperwork than to breakdowns. These are 10 mistakes that land differently once you're past 60, because the fix is almost never strength or reflexes. It's set up. Some cost you a weekend. One of them can cost you a retirement, and it has nothing to do with the RV itself. Everyone is avoidable, most in under an hour. No mechanical background needed, just what to check and why it matters at our age. Mistake number one person knows how everything works. In most RV couples over 60, one person does the hitching, the backing, and the tanks. The other hands over tools and hopes for the best. That works right up until the person who knows everything has a bad back week, or cataract surgery, or a night in a hospital 3 states away from home. The mechanism is simple. All the operating knowledge lives in one body. When that body is out, the rig doesn't move, and neither do you. It's become one of those RV park legends. Nobody can say who it happened to, but everybody's heard a version. One partner assumed the landing gear was up, the other assumed it was down, and the trailer dug a trench across the site. The fix takes one afternoon. Both of you hitch it once. Both of you dump the black tank once. Yes, both. Both of you back it into an empty parking lot. Then photograph every connection and put those photos on both phones. There's no trophy for being the only person who knows where the sewer hose lives, which raises an uncomfortable question about the moment you're most likely to forget something. Mistake number 2, leaving without a written checklist. Departure morning is the worst possible time to rely on memory. You're excited, you slept badly, someone's talking to you, and you're doing 12 small tasks in an order nobody wrote down. Attention is the mechanism here, not intelligence. Under excitement and fatigue, the brain drops steps and then reports back that nothing was dropped. True at 30. Just more expensive at 70 when the dropped step is a propane tank valve. Aviation settled this, and federal law backs it up. 14 CFR 121.315 requires airline checklists to be written so no pilot ever has to rely on memory. Crews read them aloud, challenge, and response, every flight, no matter how many thousands of hours they've logged. Do the same. 1 laminated card, 2 columns, outside and inside, antenna down, steps retracted, propane tanks closed, hitch pin and safety chains, awning locked. One of you reads, the other answers out loud, and nobody signs off on a step they didn't personally see. A checklist beats a good memory on your worst day. Now, a failure that no checklist catches because it looks completely fine. Mistake number 3, judging tires by tread instead of age. RV, tires almost never wear out. They rot. A rig sits 8 months, sunlight works on the sidewall, and the rubber loses flexibility while the tread still looks new. Here's what first-timers miss. Every sidewall carries a date. Find the DOT code, and the last 4 digits are the week and year that tire was born. Most tire makers put the ceiling at 6 years from that date, regardless of tread. Trailer tires are stricter. Carlisle flags replacement as early as 3 years, definitely by 5. None of that is federal law. NHTSA endorses age-based replacement but never regulated it. What it tells you is to go read the code. This matters more for us. A front steer tire blowout is a 2-second event demanding a hard, committed correction. Grip strength and reaction time are exactly what it asks for. So read the codes, spare included, and run a TireMinder tire pressure monitor. You'll learn about a slow leak from a beep instead of a bang. Age is one number people ignore. There's a second, printed on a sticker most owners never read. Mistake number 4, towing by brochure number instead of payload. Almost every retiree runs the same arithmetic. The SUV weighs 7,000 pounds. The trailer says 6,000. Done. That math skips the number that strands people. Payload. A tow rating assumes a nearly empty vehicle. Add 2 adults, the dog, luggage, full tanks, and tongue weight on the hitch, and the limit you blow through first is payload, not tow rating. Both numbers live on the federal certification label, required by 49 CFR 567.4 on every vehicle and trailer sold in this country. Gross vehicle weight and axle ratings from the factory, not the brochure, not the salesman. So weigh the loaded rig at a truck scale. Keep the trailer near 80% of rated capacity. A rule of thumb among experienced towers, not a law, just a cushion for wind and grades. Add a weight distribution hitch, an Anderson is a common choice, and a properly adjusted brake controller. Then drive a mountain grade in the heat before you trust it. That's where an honest setup and an optimistic one stop looking alike. Speaking of things that only reveal themselves under pressure. Mistake number 5. Owning a fire extinguisher you've never checked. Your RV came with one. It's small, it's mounted near the door, and there's a very good chance nobody has looked at it since the day it left the factory. Two things go wrong quietly. The gauge drifts out of the green, and the powder inside settles into a cake that won't discharge when the handle goes down, and a green gauge tells you nothing about that second one. There's also a layout problem. Many travel trailers and smaller motorhomes have one usable entry door, and the galley often sits between you and it, which means the plan isn't really about fighting a fire, it's about getting out quickly. So check the gauge every month and turn the extinguisher upside down and tap the base to keep the powder loose. Add a second extinguisher in the bedroom, not just by the entry. Decide tonight which window is your emergency exit, and open it once so you know it isn't painted shut. Keep keys and a phone within arm's reach of the bed. Quick pause. If any of the first 5 landed close to home, tell me which one in the comments. I read them. And if you'd rather learn these before you make them, hit subscribe. The one still coming is the only mistake here you can't fix with a tool. Mistake number 6. Ignoring the 2 surfaces where falls actually happen. Falls are the leading cause of both fatal and non-fatal injuries for adults 65 and older. That's the CDC. And an RV concentrates that risk into about 2 square feet of real estate, the entry step and the shower pan. Look at what you're working with. RV steps are steeper and narrower than house stairs, and the handrail is usually bolted through thin sidewall skin. So it flexes exactly when you put weight on it, which is exactly when you need it not to. 3 changes cover most of it. Mount a grab handle that bolts through the frame, not the skin. Add non-slip tread to each step and a mat with real suction in the shower. Put a motion light under the door so the last step down at night isn't taken on faith. Do it before the first trip, not after the first stumble. Nobody has ever regretted installing a grab bar they turned out not to need. That covers the steps. The lighting problem, though, starts earlier in the day than most people think. Mistake number 7. Booking a day that ends after dark. The classic advice is to limit your miles. Useful, but miles aren't the thing that hurts you. Daylight is. Everything hard about an RV day is stacked at the end of it. Backing into an unfamiliar site, reading the slope, setting leveling blocks, finding the hookups, running cords where nobody trips on them. Do all that in fading light, and every task gets harder at once. And the eyes we're working with have changed. Night vision dims with age, and recovery from oncoming headlight glare takes noticeably longer at 65 than in your 30s. That's what research on older drivers shows. Ordinary biology, not a personal failing. But it means the last hour of a long drive is the most expensive hour of the day, so book backward from the light. Pick an arrival time that leaves 2 full hours of daylight, then decide how far you can drive. If the math doesn't work, the drive is too long, not the schedule. The next one costs nothing to prevent and a great deal to ignore. Mistake number 8. Budgeting for the trip and not for the repairs. Most first-timers build a budget out of fuel, campgrounds, and groceries. Then a water heater fails in month 4 and the whole plan quietly falls apart. The mechanism is that an RV is a house being driven through an earthquake. Vibration works on every seam and fitting, and things let go on their own schedule. There's no official ranking of what fails first, but owners report the same short list. Tires, roof sealant, the refrigerator, the water heater, the air conditioner. For a working couple, a surprise repair is an annoying month. On a fixed retirement income, the same bill can end the season. So build a repair reserve as a real line item and keep it funded. Inspect the roof sealant twice a year before the season and before storage. A slow leak is cheap on the roof and catastrophic inside a wall. And carry a roadside plan that covers a rig your size. Good SAM is the common one. Confirm the tow limits before you need them, not from the shoulder. The next mistake is the one people make while they're feeling most trusting. Mistake number 9, accepting promises that aren't in writing. Delivery day has a rhythm to it. The dealer walks you through the rig. You notice a soft spot or a cabinet that won't latch, and someone says the words that cost the most money in this entire industry. Don't worry, we'll take care of that after you take delivery. The moment you drive off that lot, your leverage goes with you. Before it, you're a sale that can still walk away. After it, you're a service appointment in a queue behind everybody else who already paid. There's a document for exactly this. Dealers call it a WIO, or a due bill, a written list of everything they've agreed to fix, signed by both parties before you sign anything else. If they won't put a promise on it, it wasn't a promise. It was pleasant. Retirees get the softest version of this pitch because we're the ones buying the larger rigs and we're the ones raised not to make a fuss. Being polite is a fine quality. It's a terrible negotiating position. Mistake number 10, assuming your health coverage travels the way you do. Everything else on this list is a repair bill. This one is the bill that outlives the RV. And it's the reason I put it last. Coverage in this country is built around geography. RV travel ignores geography completely. On original Medicare, you're in reasonable shape nationwide. Any provider who accepts Medicare will generally see you. On a Medicare Advantage plan, you're on a network, and that network has a map. The distinction that matters on the road. Advantage. PPO plans usually cover some out-of-network care at a higher price. HMO plans usually don't, and every Advantage plan has to cover a genuine emergency either way. Then there's transport. A medical flight runs $36,000 to $40,000. Insured, the No Surprises Act caps what you personally owe at in-network rates. Uninsured, that invoice is yours. So call the number on your card before you leave and ask 3 things. What happens if I need care out of the network? What's covered outside my service area? And how do I reach you from the road? Write the answers down. Everything else here you can fix with a wrench. Not this one. So that's the list. And none of it takes strength. Just an afternoon and a little stubbornness. But hold on, friend. The mistakes that cost the most money don't happen on the road at all. They happen in the dealership before you ever turn a key. I explained the buying traps that catch retirees hardest in my next video on screen right now. Go watch it before you sign anything with a payment book attached. See you over there.